And away we go. It is the Holy Grail BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, make sure you're visiting our friends at the Holy Grail tomorrow night, opening night for the Cincinnati Reds. Next Tuesday, opening day at Great American Ballpark. Make sure you are always stopping by the Grail as you enjoy your summer. I'm Chad Brendel. He's Dave Simone. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing is the more important question.
Really bad, but that's a different story for a different day. We'll talk about it some other time. Not good news today, but we'll keep fighting. That's what we do. But the show must go on, right? So here we are. I don't know if this is going to be a long one tonight. I don't know if my brain is into it, but I guess we start with what is now the private spring game. Unfortunately, Mother Nature not cooperating, and Cincinnati has decided to move the spring game inside the bubble, which means that the public is not invited. Thank you, Grant. The public is now no longer going to be in attendance, and they'll do a practice inside. You're not. Where are you going to be Saturday? What's going on with you?
In Georgia.
Oh, bad scheduling on your part.
No, bad scheduling on the
on the Bearcats part.
On the Bearcats part, because the Masters is always this particular time of year. So
yeah,
I'm not going to the Masters, but
I mean, you could have just gone to the spring game and watched the Masters from Cincinnati.
Could have, but like 10 to 15 of my friends won't be there, and so.
All right, Aaron and Brent will be at the spring game, I believe, as long as everything stays as is. I'm going to head up to Indianapolis for the start of AAU season. Coaches are on the road. It's an open period. I guess it's because of Easter that they're doing this one so early. Is Easter at a weird time this year or something?
Next week.
Oh. That would explain it.
Is that a weird time?
For the AAU calendar, yes. Because next week is usually the first open weekend.
Okay.
So it's this week. And then I think Mick is going to head to Elite 11 regionals. So we have the spring game covered. We'll have AAU covered. We'll have Elite 11 covered. And you can find all that right here at Bearcat Journal. I'm doing a podcast. I can't talk to you right now. I'm sorry. The dogs are very needy without mom home. I can tell you that. Hi, bud. It's okay.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I know people are upset. I know it's something people look forward to. But and maybe when the new bubble opens, there'll be a way, or the new indoor facility opens, there'll be a way to get some fans in there. I doubt it, but just you can't realistically fit. What was there for Pro Day? Probably 250 people in there.
Yeah, I mean, there were the guys participating, so the sidelines were full there was a huge player turnout. So you have that, but you're going to have players on the sidelines for the spring game. And then there were, 100-ish NFL personnel. There was probably, 50-ish media people, whether it was you, me, that type, camera crews.
Steve Smith.
Right. I mean, and then there was there were extra people milling around, taking in the day. But you could not walk on the one, hardly get up and down the one sideline.
Right.
Where they had a lot of the players hanging out watching their, former teammates. So I mean, So you could have put like your biggest VIPs or something like that, 100 people, 200 people, maybe. All, if everyone stood all the way around the field, it stinks. Um, I don't think, if the coaches at most schools had their way, a spring game wouldn't even be a thing.
Right.
They would just have another normal practice where they could work on, especially when you have a young team like this, or maybe not young is the right word, a team that has some inexperience. Having a game set up in April is not as the best use of your time as opposed to having a full-on regular practice where you're doing stations and different drill work and things. I mean, you have a game, your threes are just going to stand there most of the time. And they're going to get very limited reps. And, you're going to hold guys out because why are we going to risk anyone that has any minor ailment, the first weekend in April?
Right.
So, it stinks because I know our fans are super excited and they should be. And you're coming off of a great year and there's new fans that want to be able to see the team. But, it's, I hate using the term "it is what it is," but, it's just part of the deal. And, people always are like, well, why won't UC do this for the spring game? Or why won't they broadcast it? Or it really only takes one guess to find out why they won't do those things. And that guy was like 9-time coach of the year this year. So if he doesn't want these things to happen, they're probably not going to happen.
Right. I mean, again, it's unfortunate. Because I know it's something that, people put on their calendars and they look forward to, and it's a continuation of why people are so active on Bearcat Journal through the spring, because everybody's coming for the practice reports and coming for the player interviews and any nuggets that they can get. But Mother Nature didn't cooperate. Well, why didn't they move it to Sunday? Well, it's not as easy as, just show up. Everybody show up Sunday instead. There were concessions in the plans. If there's a crowd, you have to have people working.
It's just not a big enough deal to do something like that. If you sold 30,000 tickets, then you figure it out. But I mean, you're talking a few thousand people, and it's a glorified practice. That is not even really a true game or anything. It's the logistics behind it and everything just doesn't make it conducive to switching, just saying, oh, no, we're just going to move it to this day or that day. Like, they'll use it as a practice. They'll get more out of it than if it was a game. And it's just kind of part of the deal for fans.
My guess is they'll continue. It'll be a full scrimmage. Like, they'll do the spring game, what they had planned to do. It just won't be with people watching.
Yeah.
And usually that's 6-7 periods of practice that are stations and drills and all that good stuff. And then they'll go into the scrimmage. So you guys are stuck with us as your eyes and ears. So Brent and Aaron will be there.
I would just make up like a ton of random stuff. Like, this receiver had 275 yards receiving, and this DB had 4 interceptions.
Knock it off, Dave. So yeah, practice tomorrow. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna try. Just a lot going on. So if I can get things handled and when we get done here tonight and be ready in the morning to try to make it to practice, I'll do my best. But yeah, Aaron's going to have so many fake Blue Smith stats. You're right. Blue Smith is obviously going to be the MVP of the spring game, without question.
14 touchdowns on 12 catches.
They have to have Brent keep him in check.
Well, Brent will say that like everybody looked great. You know, both quarterbacks are easy first round picks in 1 to 3 years. The offensive line will win the Moore Award. Like, I mean, just
he's nothing if not optimistic.
His team's going to win every game 50-0.
Right. And I think we've hit spring ball pretty much to death. We covered the scrimmage on Monday on the BBP. I did not make it to practice yesterday. Like I said, hopefully I can be there tomorrow. I'm feeling a little bit better, but not substantially. So, and Kelly's home from the hospital, but she has an oncologist appointment tomorrow. Now we have to meet with a lung doctor based on her diagnosis today. It all sucks is basically all I can say. I'll be there if I can tomorrow, but I can't promise. You want to get to draft stuff first, or you want to get to the Big 12 looking for a new commissioner first?
Let's do draft stuff because the Big 12 looking for a new commissioner bores me.
I mean, it's one person, right?
Yeah,
I know everybody's throwing names out,
and it doesn't
it's one person,
and it doesn't really affect. I mean, it doesn't really affect UC too much, right? I mean, at this point,
right?
It's not, it has an effect, but I don't know if we, from our standpoint, like, what is there to really talk about? We know what the current situation isn't going to change based on who the new commissioner is. So, I mean, I guess we're kind of talking about it right now, so let's just talk about it. But, so Bob Bowlesby retires. Not sure if it was a retirement, if he was asked to retire, if he was, there was some, I listened to Andy Staples and Max Olson discuss things, and they weren't sure. There was a press release, and there was like board members' names on it. So it's kind of like
real quick. Before we get into this, we got a timestamp, right?
Sorry.
It's 15 minutes about spring football. And we got a 10 minutes about spring football. Then we got a timestamp because the timestamp is sponsored by our good friends at Urban Artifact. Are you curious to explore what lies beyond standard craft beer? Take a trip to Urban Artifact. They don't make beer, they make fruit tarts. Come see what the world of real fruit has to offer. Swing by Urban Artifacts Northside Taproom, mention Bearcat Journal. Get $2 off a flight of 4 tasters. That is, what do you got today, Aaron? Strawberry and
lemon fruit tart seltzer.
Let's see.
Cheers, fellas.
Let's see what you think. Strawberry and lemon. That's an interesting combo. Sweet and tart.
Mostly tart.
Mm-hmm. Not a lot of strawberry, a lot of lemon.
Yeah. It's good. I don't mind.
Well, you're a summer shandy, like you enjoy summer fruit beer.
Yep. So there we are.
All right, back into it. I guess where it ultimately comes in is gonna, new Big 12 commissioner is going to be, this is the person that's going to be probably definitely overseeing the new TV deal, grant of rights, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess grant of rights is that gonna still be a thing? Do you need it to still? Does it need to be a thing? Do you care if it's a thing? Like, it's not mattering to Texas and Oklahoma. If for some reason one of either the SEC or the Big Ten at some point came at one of these schools, it wouldn't matter to them. They'd be like, we'll figure it out. Like, they're not giving up money that is projected to be, before 2030 in the hundreds of millions of dollars a year from the SEC and Big Ten TV deal. But it is interesting in the stance of, like, what are you looking for? Like you said, are you looking for someone with with the TV experience, I feel like that element of it can be overplayed a little bit. Like, if you have TV experience, does that mean you're capable of getting the league, getting these TV networks to pay substantially more than they had planned on? I don't know. I mean, I think
it's not like the TV networks are going, well, it was Joe running the deal, and we were going to give Joe a terrible deal.
right.
But now Jimmy's in here. We like Jimmy, so we're going to give him an extra, $400 million.
Right.
Because we like Jimmy.
I think to me, the most important element, and this is brand new, and admittedly, I have not read a ton on it. I haven't read all these articles with people's potential candidates and everything. But I think just relationships, like their interpersonal skills, how they command a room, like their relationships with whether it's the other ADs and presidents in the Big 12, the other commissioners of the Power 5 conferences. Like, the Big 12 commissioner needs to step in and not be looked at as some like new to the table, up and comer. Like, he needs to step in with some clout, because all the other commissioners are kind of new as well, except for Greg Sankey. So I want someone that, not that you come in and with your chest out and you're trying to like own the room and you're bombastic but like a serious person with long-standing relationships who can come in and maybe throw your weight around a little bit, because you're a new guy, but you want to put out that presence that yes, we're losing Oklahoma and Texas, but we are not bowing down to any of you, and we are coming to elevate. We're going to, we don't have that, since it's just ended basketball season, we don't have that blue blood, but we're very bullish on our brands and on the direction that we're going. And I think the interaction with the commissioners, your clout when it comes to playoff expansion is important. I think those are the things that are, to me, are more important than just saying like, oh, this guy's been in media, or because I think it's way, way more than that will have an effect on the conference's success. They're going to get a good TV deal, and they kind of sit in a good window because they're not the next group to go. The Big Ten is. So the Big Ten's rights are going to go to somebody, and then somebody's going to be left out. And they're going to still, whatever they say about a media bubble, and I don't believe it, because you still need live rights. You still need live sporting events. If the Big Ten goes, and I'm just making this up, if the Big Ten goes CBS, ESPN, which they probably won't, but let's say CBS and Fox, well, then ESPN is going to need rights. If the Big Ten goes ESPN and Fox, CBS is going to need some rights, because CBS doesn't have the SEC anymore. Like ESPN has the SEC, like the big 3:30 and 8 o'clock games are not till that deal got a lot of attention, but I don't think it actually begins until 2024. But somebody's going to need the rights. Is it Fox? Do they get more space on Fox with FS1 and FS2? Like, someone's going to need the rights, and you're going to want to be somewhere where they will pump you up. And that part of the media thing and the relationship, to me, is more important than the deal. It's that whoever signs the deal doesn't, talk out of both sides of their mouth, kind of like how the AAC was treated by ESPN. I'd always laugh, like, you pay the money to broadcast their games, and then your people on the air, talk crap about them half the time.
Right.
Like, you want to have a commissioner that can come in and go, okay, we want you guys to, we like this deal, we want to work with you, but we need you to help us elevate. Like when, even when other conferences aren't doing good, like you don't hear the ESPN crapping all over the ACC, even though for the last several years it's been Clemson and a bunch of nobodies.
Right.
So, I think there's some intriguing names being thrown around. They've said, Mark Rhodes, I think, said he's the AD at Baylor, that they would like to have someone in place in 90 days, which makes sense. I think you'd want to get someone in place, by the summer, by the time you're figuring out when these schools outside of BYU are joining. We'll see. I mean, I think I would think the consensus favorite is probably Oliver Luck, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, they brought him in to be an advisor. Like usually that's the line of succession, right? You bring him in to be an advisor, and then the current guy announces that he's stepping away, and all of a sudden you have your new guy in place. And they've said what they want to have this all wrapped up in 3 months.
Yeah, 90 days. Yeah.
Which
that
leads me to believe it's somebody that's already, if not directly in house, someone close to the Big 12.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, Kirby Holcutt, the AD at Texas Tech, has some buzz around his name. Ken Schultz, who is the president at Washington State now, but has a lot of Big 12 ties. I've seen his name some. It's just it's interesting though, because I don't think anybody knew this was going to happen, because if they did, it would have come out during the Final Four.
Right.
And so who's interested that, what guys are and ladies are out there that are interested that, they never even thought this was a thing. So like, I think that's why you see in so many different names being thrown around. Because there's only, there's 5 of these jobs that really control college athletics, and especially the college football landscape and the playoff. So, it's that old adage, like, when you talk about NFL coaches, there's only 32 of them. Well, there's only 5 of these. And so I think there's going to be people that maybe didn't think this was happening that now are interested. But Oliver Luck is the easy favorite, but I'm not sure.
Odds-on favorite.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's the, and I think they should vet it. They should vet the position heavily, because you're going to get some interest, especially with the new TV deal coming up. Like, there's going to be people that are going to want to be in charge of that and stake that to their resume.
Sure. Sorry, I'm still getting over whatever I had, and if I talk for like 90 seconds, I cough for the next 30. So
That's all right.
You're going to have to deal with me being in and out.
You probably need to just smoke a cigarette and jumpstart your lungs.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, I don't have a ton else on that. I just figured it was topical. We might as well. Oh, the one thing I did want to discuss on that, there's been some conversation about like how much input the new people should have, the new schools should have. Guess what? I hate to break it to it, ain't gonna be much.
Well, they're not in the conference.
Right. Well,
they are for, but like, I'm sure they'll, if John Cunningham thinks that this person would be good, I'm sure he can give a name. But like, I don't think the new ADs are going to be in these meetings and talking about it too much, and they're certainly not going to have any sway when it comes to, they're not voting, they're not, things of that nature.
Well, I just look, they're not all that interested in what the new guys have to say. They might listen, like they might, hear you out, so to speak, but they're not bending over backwards to appease the people that aren't even there yet.
No.
Like, it's just not how it's going to work. And there's going to be a level of solidarity between them that you can't blame them for, right? Like, this is their house, and Cincinnati's moving in. It's their block, and Cincinnati's going to be the new guy living on the block. The new guy living on the block doesn't get to set the homeowners association rules because they happen to be moving in next month, right? Like, that's not how neighborhoods work, if you will.
No.
To continue the analogy. So yeah, that's about all I've got on that one. But just like I said, it was topical and wanted to touch on it.
Yeah, it's interesting in the grand scheme of things, but from a UC perspective, I'm not sure right now. Like, it just doesn't affect them on the same level as it would even a year from now.
Right. Let's see. Are you curious? I think I just did that one, right? Urban Artifacts celebrates
I'm
their
always
7th anniversary.
curious.
Urban Artifacts celebrates their 7th anniversary this month. They have events every day from Tuesday, April 19th through Sunday, April 24th. Stop in to celebrate with some world-class fruit tarts. Swing by Urban Artifacts Northside Tap Room and mention Bearcat Journal to get $2 off a flight of 4 tasters. That is your timestamp as Aaron enjoys his strawberry lemon tart seltzer. Are you a seltzer guy, Dave? Do you like the seltzers?
Not too much. No, I kind of just stick with the beers.
Stick with the straight barley and hops.
Yeah.
No fuzzies in your barley and hops.
No, not usually.
All right. Let's get into the draft. And I think obviously the big news right now is exactly what we expected to be the big news as we headed into this portion of the draft, right?
Weird.
All the
how this works.
Yeah, all the testing and the stuff on the field is done. Desmond Ridder more than held his own through all of that stuff. And now is the off the field stuff in terms of interviewing and leadership and all the qualities that a team looks for in a guy that's going to potentially be the face of the franchise. And shockingly, Dave, Desmond Ridder is very good at that portion of the process.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. The guy with the kid and the longtime girlfriend, fiance, and for the 4-year starter and the 44 career wins, and I'm really surprised this is the way this is going.
Stunning that in a draft where all the talk is about there's not much separation on the field between this group of guys, that the stuff that goes with it is becoming more of a factor, right? We talked about this in January, that as long as Dez held his own at the Combine and the Senior Bowl, and he had a good pro day, and he did all of those things, that he was going to be in a position to make a move. And I know we talked about this in probably late February, when it went away from what the draft pundits thought the board looked like to people talking to NFL executives about what their board looked like, then the tone on Dez was going to shift. And now you're hearing things like, talk to an executive from a couple teams, and they're all very high on Desmond Ridder. And like, yeah.
None of it up until, most of the teams, even like when they get eliminated from the playoffs or even when the regular season's over, it's not like they lose on that Sunday and then on Monday they start watching tape. Like, the scouts have, but none of the coaches had paid a lick of attention to any of these guys until February.
Right.
And so, and I actually wrote a bunch of these down because I wanted to make sure I tried to capture all of them, because there literally he is by far right now I'm going to use a word that I don't even know if it exists. Buzziest player in the entire draft right now. There is not a guy being talked about this way in any other position for over the last several days. I mean, you have Dan Orlovsky from ESPN, who obviously has broadcast some of UC's games recently, is on NFL Live, putting out videos on Twitter, breaking down his plays, talking about how he has the best quarterbacking tape of any of the quarterbacks in this draft. Yesterday, Matt Miller, also with ESPN, who has kind of had his own thing going, and then I think it was last year ESPN hired him in the same vein as the Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, saying, from what I've heard, wouldn't be surprised if Ritter goes in the top 20. Yesterday, Jeremy Fowler, an NFL reporter for ESPN, talking about how, tons of buzz around Ritter. He's been crushing these meetings. He's presenting teams with a full plan on how he expects to beat out a veteran and earn the trust of his teammates. Like,
this is something I talked about, that when teams asked him, like, what do you think about coming in behind a veteran, behind like I said in the example I was told, before the Falcons traded Matt Ryan, they asked Des, what do you think about coming in and being an understudy for Matt Ryan? And his answer was, year one, I'll give you that. Year two, I'm gonna be your starting quarterback. Like, I'm not coming in to sit. I'm coming in to be your starting quarterback.
Jordan Love.
Right. I'm coming in to play. I'm coming in to be your starting quarterback. If you draft me, you better have a plan in place by year two for me to be the guy, because I'm going to take the job.
Yeah. I mean, today, Move the Sticks podcast, which is Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. They were doing kind of a who's your top guy at each position, and then who's your surprise guy at each position. Surprising could mean gets drafted higher than you think, gets drafted lower than you think. Yeah. But for quarterbacks, DJ basically said he's crushed every aspect of the process, and the buzz is real. And, Daniel Jeremiah talked about how, like, I don't have him in my top 50. There were things that I just, I was hung up on the accuracy, and and these things. He's like, but I mean, he's like, enough people are talking about it. I have to move him up. Like, sometimes it doesn't necessarily jive with what I see, but I'm not gonna be
wrong because I'm stubborn.
But right, like, if this is what is happening, then this is what is happening. Several guys I've seen, maybe more. Anthony Tresh from PFF, Nate Tice from The Athletic, Austin, our boy, who was on Good Morning Football today. That was awesome.
What a glow up that kid's had. From working at Bearcat Journal to co-hosting Good Morning Football.
Well, I mean, we had a segment. I wouldn't call it co-hosting, but it was still awesome. They all have him as QB1. Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus has him as QB2. I'm sure there's more that have come into that realm. Tresh's most recent mock had him 8 to the Falcons. Joe Marino from the Draft Network had him 8 to the Falcons. Austin had him either 18 to the Saints or 20 to the Steelers, maybe before the whole Saints-Eagles trade. But it just, like, you just keep hearing the same thing. You obviously hear the maturity, you hear the intelligence, but the thing that I have always come back to and I'm by no means, never call myself a scout, never say I know these things, but the thing that I always came back to as to why I thought as the process went on is that teams would watch him and they would see him running things that they know that they will run. They will
Right.
see his processing and just his understanding of an NFL offense, his understanding of route concepts, his understanding of protections, of line calls. All of these things give you a leg up. Like, and I'll just use Malik Willis as the example because he's the other, he's going to go in the first round. I would be stunned. He's got all the pop. He's got all the,
sizzle, if you will.
But like, how many times has he, ran certain plays that are staples of an NFL playbook? How many times has he, called line protection, shifted a protection? How many times is he audible? How many, one of the craziest ones that people don't even think about. How many times have these guys called a play in a huddle where you have to have the play come in, understand it, tell it to your team again, get to the line, then the checks, the audibles. There is no more of the come to the line, look, turn around, wait a couple seconds, look for your coaches to tell you, okay, this is what the defense is doing. The play we called isn't going to work, so now you're going to do this. Even guys like Pickett, Sam Howell, I'm not just using Malik Willis as an example. They're one and go guys. They are one read. If it's not there, we're running. Dez is not that dude at all. He can be that dude, but that is not his game. His game is processing. His game is 1, 2, 3, back to 1. His game is read the safety, throw the backside dig. These are things that once the coaches get involved,
it's what we saw from that Orlovsky broke down today.
Right.
It's read the coverage, read the nickel or whoever's guarding Josh Wiley is playing the dig in a zone.
Well, he still had to throw to Pierce, but the better play was to make that guy squat and hit Wiley in the seam of the cover 3.
Right. And he looks the guy off. You can see it. And looks the guy off, throws the seam, perfect play. You get the chunk, 25, 30 yards.
You get a lot of, leading up to the process was a lot of well, he's the most pro ready, but what is his ceiling? His floor is high, but is his ceiling high? And you're drafting Malik Willis on potential and things like that. And I don't have anything I'm not going to bash any of these dudes. As a Bengals fan, I am praying to God the Steelers draft Malik Willis. Because he might end up being great. But in 3 years, he might be the exact same guy he is now.
Which wouldn't be good enough to beat Joe Burrow and
no. But
Deshaun Watson and
no, not even close. But I think teams are starting to see that Dez took that big you have PFF rankings. They're just one ranking set, but they get referenced a lot because they're easy to digest and they're easily available.
Right.
So Dez was first 3 years all in the lowish 70s in his PFF rating. And then he jumped to 90 this year. How much of that was working directly with Jordan Palmer on the things that he has worked on that you will continue to do as a pro? How much of that is just getting more comfortable in an offense? How much of that is adding responsibilities and being able to, process all of that? I think coaches are seeing him now as yeah, he can be ready to go right now if we need him to be. But because of his athletic traits and because of the progression that he's shown, he's not a high floor, low ceiling guy. We think we can. The accuracy thing to me is interesting because there's different ways to look at accuracy, and PFF breaks it down like, are you completion percentage accurate, or are you like ball placement accurate as well? Like his completion percentage accuracy isn't the best, but his ball placement accuracy is probably the best in the draft. Like he hits guys where they need the ball. You didn't see a lot of like throws that guys had to stop for or guys had to reach back for. And then he also has very, very few turnover worthy plays, which I know I'm getting in the weeds of stuff like that, but like he doesn't put throws in bad places.
Right.
So like I'm not, just because of the nature of the position and with all this stuff going on, like I'm not ready to guarantee it, but like I'm getting to the point.
He's going in the first round.
He's going in the first round. I'm not going to say like I don't know how high, because I mean shit happens on draft day, but I mean he met with the Saints before his pro day. I believe he also met with the Falcons. He's meeting with the Steelers, then the Panthers and the Seahawks. So you kind of have and that's not necessarily the end of the list either. It wouldn't surprise me if the Titans got in there. I heard an interesting comp of Ryan Tannehill and Dak Prescott. Like the Tannehill athleticism with the Prescott like leadership and stuff like that.
Right.
So you're talking about Steelers at 20, Falcons at 8, Saints have 2 first-round picks now, Seahawks at 9, Panthers at 6. And yes, some of those teams could be talking to him. You know, those early pick teams could be talking to him to learn more, to say like, okay, what if he's still there at 25? Do we trade our second-round pick and our whatever pick next year to move up? So it's not necessarily in the places that they're specifically drafting in the first round, but there just seems to be there's too much smoke, and there's not a lot of talk about any of the other QBs either.
That's what's been kind of weird for me. Like you're like, people aren't talking about Pickett right now. They aren't talking about, like, Willis is probably the one that's getting the next most conversation.
I think people will always talk about Willis because there are things that excite you, especially if you're a coach, because every coach is like, oh, well, give me that dude, because I can, you know, the old adage, the ball of clay. Oh, he's a ball of clay. We have no idea how good he can be, but he's got the arm and he's got the athleticism, and so let's take a chance on him. You know, so, but yeah, there's just not a lot of talk about some of these other guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've said before, and it's easy for me to say because I'm not in year 3, you know, needing to do something to keep my job. I wouldn't take any of them in the first round, but that's also not how the NFL and the NFL draft with quarterbacks works. I mean, there's talk of, you know, Willis going 2, Pickett going 6. Like, that's what honestly, that's what I want to happen. Like, because I want that for Dez. Like the earlier, I mean, he might be one of those guys. I'm just saying, like, the earlier the quarterbacks go, the more desperate the teams get.
Right.
And I want him to, you know, I want him to go to a good situation. That's why you know, but I would love to see him go to the Saints. You know, they've got a good situation already. The way they manage their salary cap, I'm not entirely sure how they do it, but they are never afraid to, you know, put good players around and rework contracts. You know, I've said numerous times, I think Atlanta, from a coaching standpoint, would be a great spot for him. The roster is, you know, straight gutter trash. So I don't wish him to take over, you know, as the quarterback of a team that has a bunch of nothing around him. But yeah, it's you try to take I try to take my UC fandom out of it, but it really does seem like I see something every day about him in multiple times a day. And people aren't just doing that because they feel like doing it. They're doing it because they either believe it, like in Orlovsky's case, or they're being told it.
And I think more, they're being told it.
Right.
Like that, you're hearing them say that. I heard McShay say it the other day too. What he moved him up to 31 or 32 or whatever.
Yeah, I think he was Lions last pick in the first round.
All right, let's get to my tweet last night, Dave.
Well, hold on, I got more draft stuff.
It is a draft thing.
Oh well, this is specific.
Okay,
Just a little sauce nugget.
Okay.
So our boy Sauce visits with the Texans, picks 3 and 13, Lions 2, Giants 5 and 7. We already know he met with the Giants pro day. So they have picks 5 and 7, Jets picks 4 and 10, Seahawks 9, Eagles, whatever it is now, 15, 18, something like that. Saints, whatever they have now, 16, 18. I don't even know with those two teams what they traded. But he is making the rounds, as they say. Ran a faster 40 time than Derek Stingley did. That was interesting today. Stingley had his pro day. Seemed to do quite well, but 4.44 and Sauce ran a 4.41. So
Was that the official that came out later? I saw 4.37.
yeah, that was not what they marked as official. Was 4.44 and 4.45.
Okay.
But I mean, the teams are going to go off of whatever they want to go off of. So if a team wants to say 4.37, whatever. But his numbers and things weren't. They were really. I mean, they were good to really good. They weren't like holy shit. So,
Right.
from a health standpoint, he showed that his foot was fine. But I don't think it changes much. I don't think if you had Sauce as your CB1 that Stingley's pro day makes you reverse them or something.
Right.
But that was all I had on him. Just saw that tonight of where his upcoming visits were going to be with.
Right. Okay. My hot take from last night. Did you see my hot take from last night?
You've had a lot of takes lately, so I don't know.
My hot take from last night. I said it was a hot take. August 28th through 30th is shaping up to be the most impactful weekend in the history of UC football. Agree or disagree? It's the last piece, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think making the college football playoff,
it's right up there. Sure,
is up there. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like you could have a top 5 pick along with a top 25 pick, and then on Friday you could have 2 or 3 guys, and then on Saturday another whatever the number is. Like you're going to have, if 8 guys get drafted, I don't know the rundown of every team. I'm sure Georgia's going to have a ton. You're going to be right up there with Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, whoever you want to say. When they put up like the graphic, most players drafted in the 2020 class, like UC is going to be right up there, top 5-ish, And
I'm gonna say 9. I'm going with 9.
You think my boy Kurt's getting drafted?
I think so. I've asked some people about that, and there seems to be a belief that like he's got a legit shot to sneak into one of those late rounds, just as a high energy, high effort, probably 3 tech in a 4-down line system. He wins at the point of attack. He's athletic. Like I think there's a shot somebody takes a chance on him late in day 3. I think there's 9.
I mean, I'd be all for it. I mean, I had him as, obviously when you guys don't know, I've been on the BBP, did like your postseason award winners. I had him as I would have had him as my defensive MVP.
Defensive MVP over Sauce.
I mean, I guess it's the Sauce excluded category.
Okay.
but I would say like when
he was massively important.
When he played his best, the defense was outstanding. The defense was pretty outstanding all the time. But when he had his best games, they were noticeably better and more dominant.
Yeah, because in football now, the edge rush is still massively important, but taking the middle of the pocket and moving it up the field is the way that you best disturb quarterbacks, right? Because if you're coming on the edges, they can step up, they can move. There's ways they figured out to get around you. When you're taking a center or a guard and just carrying him back to the quarterback, there's not a lot of places for them to go.
Yeah, I mean, look what the Navy game, for example. Dez struggled in that game because they were able to bring pressure up the middle.
Right. I don't know. I think Kurt finds his way, and I think
I hope so. Jason asked Brooks to the Bengals in the 7th. I would love it, but if they wait till the 7th round to draft a 3 technique defensive lineman,
your head's going to explode.
We're going to have some discussions, and the group as a whole is not great. So it's that could be does that help him? Does that hurt him? I don't know, but from a strictly Bengals standpoint, I hope they do not wait that long. As much as I like him, they need someone that can probably, whether it's a rookie or after the draft, they bring someone in, they're going to need someone that's going to play between 500 and 700 snaps at 3 technique.
Right.
So I don't know if he's that guy as the 7th round rookie.
But yeah, I just, in terms of the perception of the program, I think, when you, and this is exclusively in talking about in terms of recruiting, we think of winning being the most important thing, right? And winning to most kids, and especially a lot of, the kids that Luke is recruiting, winning is very high on their list of priorities. But let's be honest. What do these kids all want?
They want to go to the league.
And they want to know they're going to a place that not only can sneak them in the late rounds, but if they do everything right, can get them in the first day, can get them in the second day. And these are, Sauce was an 84 and 85, whatever in his grade.
Yeah.
Dez was an 82. Kobe was an 82. Beavers was around that range. Like, Cincinnati is showing not only can they develop, but they can develop guys into whatever your wildest dreams may be. Because, Sauce is a confident guy. He'll say whatever he says. There's no way that kid came to Cincinnati thinking I'm going to leave here as a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
No,
right?
Probably not. I mean, that's
There's no way Dez came to Cincinnati thinking when I'm out of here, I'm going to be the top quarterback in my draft, or in that conversation for the top quarterback in my draft. And this is going to be that final piece of ammo on the recruiting trail that you're not going to be able to use against Cincinnati. You're going to be able to say, we can play for championships. You're going to be able to say, we can play in a power league, because you're going to be in a power league. You're headed that way. And now you're going to be able to say, we can make your wildest dreams come true.
I mean, we talked about, God, how many months ago, just about how much exposure they were going to get. And really, Like
It's been more.
Well, all of this stuff that's happened now, we're not even to the like ramp up part yet.
Right. We're
Like
we're on the runway.
Like the NFL Network just started their daily like path to the draft show and mock draft shows. Like just started them in April. So like all of this stuff that has started is just based off of Senior Bowl, Pro Day, Combine, and the beginning of these visits. Now that the Pro Days are over, basically tomorrow I think is the end. And Drake London is going to have a workout on the 15th or something. But I mean, that's just one guy. But like now you're going to have people talking about the draft on ESPN, on NFL Network, on podcasts, on YouTube, whatever. Like every single day, it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And, the school we'll have all of this ammo, all of these graphics, all of these videos. When the chimes start on ESPN, everybody gets excited. Like the pick is in, and they can use all these things. We see when they send out images and graphics to high school kids that show them like getting drafted by the Bengals or whoever. Like there's going to be so much of that. Like they are going to get to do that probably 8 or 9 times. They're going to get to put graphics together about most players drafted, and I know they hate to use the term, but I don't know if they'll use it. Like most players ever drafted from a G5 school in one class, most players ever drafted by an AAC school in one class. Like, if I were them, I would put up how many guys got drafted by UC and all the Big 12 teams. Right. Comparing that, I would go. I mean, I'm sure they're going to, but like, there's so much opportunity. Whether it's videos, graphics, interviews, if Sauce gets drafted 5, they're going to do an interview with him right off stage after he gets drafted. Like, it's so much.
Luke Fickell's going to be at the draft.
Oh, Luke will be at the draft. Luke will be on some network, whether it's Friday night, Saturday during the day. Like, he'll be on ESPN. He'll be on NFL Network. Like, he was on with Rich Eisen today. Like, he'll be out there, there's going to be a lot of Bearcats talk. That is for sure.
So do you agree with my statement?
I mean, I think it's 1A, 1B. Like from a pure football standpoint.
Here's the difference. You lost to Alabama.
Yeah, but you broke through.
You're not losing.
No, you're not losing
draft weekend.
No, not at all.
That's my difference. That's my deciding factor.
For sure. I mean, it's everything. It's the final thing that, if you want to talk about, negative recruiting or whatever, like you accomplished the 2 things. You proved that, you could get there. And now you're showing that like these other schools that you recruit against, Kentucky, Michigan State, Iowa State, West Virginia, Louisville, Purdue, the general area schools, like they're not having the on-field success, but they can keep saying like, we have a track record. We've put whatever 3, 4, 5, 6 guys into the draft every year, and they're not ever, hardly ever headliners.
Right.
But they can say like, look, this is a sustained thing. And now, UC can start to say that. They'll need to build on it. It'll need to be a regular occurrence, maybe not 8 every year, but you can't go years where you just have like a 5th round pick or a couple guys on day 3. You need to keep going in the direction that they're going.
Right. I don't know. I just think it's pretty wild to watch it unfold, man. It's from the seat that we've been in, me for the last 16 years, you for the last 6 or 7 years, you've been helping Bearcat Journal, and become more of a part of the team, to where we're at now. It's hard to fathom that this is
oh yeah,
us.
it's out of out of the stratosphere. But I did want to answer a couple of these comments we had. Crypt Keeper, yes, Greg Cook was the 5th pick in the draft and is the highest drafted Bearcat player to date. Jason's comment about Larry Ogunjobi, the Bengals, not unless something changes, I do not see them re-signing him. Obviously, things can change. I don't see them re-signing him. I don't think he would want to, frankly. Like, he signed with the Bears. They gave starter money to BJ Hill. I don't see him coming back to take on a backup role. And that is without even knowing his foot situation that caused him to fail a physical.
Right.
So, what are expectations for Jerome Ford? I would say day 3.
Running back's just so undervalued and wildly unpredictable, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think, you're going to have Breece Hall. Maybe, some people think sneak into round 1. Probably, if I was betting $1, I would say no. So Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, round 2. I'm not even sure if this is not a great running back group. So I'm not even sure, if there's another running back going in round 2. If there is, it's maybe one wild guess 2. So you got 4 guys on the first 2 rounds. So, yeah, I mean, if I was pegging around, I would say 5. But I could see him in 4. It just depends. I mean, running backs are, like you said, they're undervalued, and just what is the team looking for?
right.
And that's the same way with every position. But running back's going to get pushed down more times than not.
Yeah. Hi, Kitty. Do you think it's more likely the Bengals draft a replacement type of player for Bell or Bates?
I don't know. Both.
I would guess Bell's gone for sure soon, right? Like,
his contract is up after next year. Yeah, I don't.
after this year.
Right, with this coming. Yeah.
Right.
I don't. Jesse's obviously like the hot discussion point. Like, why can't they get a deal done? What's going on? I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, because there's some dudes I like in that spot. I mean, that I think can play what he does. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yeah, they like to do some 3 safety stuff. They really like guys that have versatility. Daxton Hill is a guy from Michigan that has played slot, has played a little outside, has played, a little single high, which is what Jesse, Bengals run mostly. But some people think he can be a corner. Some people think he's just a slot. He's been a safety, but I don't know. That's something I'm interested to see. Like Lewis Sean from Georgia, Jalen Petrie from Baylor, Jaquan Brisker from Penn State. Like, not necessarily all of them at 31, but if they were to trade down, I think this could be a big defensive backfield draft for the Bengals as a whole, whether it's corner or safety. I mean, we saw last year, everyone talked about defensive or offensive line being a concern, and they drafted 3 offensive linemen. They also drafted 3 defensive linemen. So,
right.
They drafted 2 edge type guys, and they drafted Tyler Shelvin. So it wouldn't surprise me if they, drafted 2 safeties and 2 corners, or some 2 corners, a safety, and a guy that, could maybe do both. Wouldn't shock me at all.
All right. You got anything else football related?
I don't think so.
Okay. I just confirmed. Kalu, Izipke, I think is how you say it, is officially visiting Cincinnati. I don't know that a commitment is imminent. I think
Did you say Caillou?
Kalu,
Your favorite TV show?
Caillou?
fuck that kid. You know how I feel about that kid.
Not the basketball player.
No. No, the cartoon asshole. Whiny little bitch. I don't know what I've gotten such a weird vibe on that. Like there was a report that the visit was happening. I checked on it. It was a maybe. Jeffrey, if Caillou's your boy, get out.
Lifetime ban.
Lifetime. Hey, Aaron, ban Jeffrey Inman for life. Caillou, his boy. You and your boy can get lost. We forgot the timestamp. Timestamp, y'all. Urban Artifact is the largest sour-only brewery in the U.S. They pack over 700,000 pounds of real fruit into their lineup of fruit tarts every year. Swing by Urban Artifact's Northside Tap Room and mention Bearcat Journal to get $2 off a flight of 4 tasters. Take it over, Aaron. Tell them how good.
So good.
That's awesome. Your advertising skills are really taking a leap. Like you're
I can feel their sales skyrocketing.
yeah.
No, but
It's
for real,
so good.
I think that their key lime
Send me more for free.
Their key lime ghost is probably my favorite of their lineup, and in the summer that's a fantastic go-to for me. Real talk.
Jeffrey, you're 24. Give you a break. What kind of break am I supposed to give you? Like your parents tolerated Caillou when you were a kid? I can't condone that type of parental behavior. I just can't. My daughter watched Caillou to spite me because she knew I hated it. It's like you want to watch some Peppa Pig? You want to watch some Wonder Pets? You want to watch some I don't even remember the one. Oh, jeez. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, child abuse, Jason. Allowing your child to watch Caillou is child abuse. It's actually parent abuse. It's the worst parent cartoon I've ever encountered. Luckily, they cycled that shit out before Dave and Aaron are gonna.
I have to jump in here and laugh at something. So
Okay, go ahead.
in the recruiting thread for football, Austin Severveld, or however you say his name, the offensive lineman, he has a final 3. Apparently, UC's not in it.
Yeah. Tell him the final 3.
I don't even know who they are.
Oh,
Who are they?
Alabama, Ohio State, and Notre Dame.
Oh, okay, that's a good final 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But someone said, "Man, we could really use a win soon. Been a tough few weeks." I go, literally got to commit 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Like, come on, people. Like,
but Dave, he wasn't ranked high enough.
Well, I don't.
As we're watching, guys ranked in the exact same range
get drafted in the top.
About to get drafted
first
in the
round.
top. Yeah, in the first and second and third round.
We literally got a commitment 3 days ago. It has not been a rough few weeks.
Well, they're talking, Malik Hartford to Ohio State today.
Dude, if we're battling dudes that pick Ohio State, I'm not going to get super upset about it.
The lead. So Alan True was on CBS Sports, streaming coverage of Malik Hartford's commitment.
Yeah.
And the lead was, this was a good win for Ohio State because it was believed that he was going to be very difficult to get out of Cincinnati.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Other schools involved, Michigan State, Alabama, Notre Dame, right? Essentially, this was a good win for Ohio State to beat Cincinnati.
UC.
Yeah. That was the sentiment.
Hey, I'm all for it, but like when you fish in that pond, you're going to catch less fish. We want to be fishing in that pond, but it's a harder pond to fish.
You know what a rough few hours is? A rough few hours is finding out your wife has pulmonary hypertension, which there's no cure for and generally leads to death. That's a rough week, right? And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be an asshole when I'm saying that, but like some of you fucking people need perspective, man. It's the transfer portal.
Do you want to talk that, or would you like to just end the podcast now? Because I have a feeling where we're going to go with this one.
No, I'm cool, but like I'm dealing with a rough couple weeks, right? What you're dealing with is minor fan disappointment. It's okay. It's all right. I'm just saying. Anyhow. So the Zipke kid, it's a weird vibe. I don't know how to read it. Like, I think clearly they like him, but I think the portal is messing with everyone's head right now because somebody said it, a great line today on the board. It's like when you were in college and you were busy talking to that one girl and then 10 other hot chicks walked by while you were talking to the one girl. And you didn't know it. Like maybe there was a better one back there somewhere. So like, just let the coaching staff do their job. Let them figure it out themselves. Like that's what they're spending all day doing. I know that's really hard for fans to do, but let them do their job. And then when they're done with their job, feel free to evaluate it however you see fit. Because at that point, you're going to be right or wrong, right? When the moves are in place and the roster is set or mostly set, whatever, and you can say these guys made the roster worse, these guys made the roster better, whatever, take a side. There's nothing to take a side on now, right? It's just your impatience getting in the way of how things are happening. What are you laughing at?
Oh, just the whole situation. I mean, you know me, I'm on my take on it, like. But so this kid in particularly, what is his game? What does he do? Like I don't know. This is my first podcast. I have no idea who this person is. Please tell me about him.
Here, let me pull him up. He went to Old Dominion.
Okay, so he's a Monarch. I know he's that. He's a
Monarch.
Much. Former Monarch.
Yeah, former Monarch now. He had a top 6. I was trying to find his top 6. I can't find it.
Is he a post?
Yeah, he's a big guy. I think there are some. He's 6'8", 240 pounds.
How many years left?
I believe 1. He's played a lot of basketball. So he played. I think that he's got his COVID year left. That's it.
Okay. 34
games as a freshman in 18-19. 32 games as a sophomore. Started all 23 games in 2021. Team captain, 32 games, 30 starts this year. 27 minutes a game, 12 points. Shot 73% from the free throw line. 7 rebounds, 52% from the field, 3 double-doubles, high points, 21 on the year. He played 36 minutes against Western Kentucky. He's a guy that at least is going to give you a little bit of stability in the paint. How has he done against AAC competition, you ask?
You read my mind. I was going to ask that.
He played against East Carolina twice.
Known for their defensive prowess.
He scored 16 points in one meeting against East Carolina. 4 of 6 shooting from the floor. 8 of 11 from the free throw line. He had 8 rebounds and an assist and a steal. He played against them a second time. I have no idea why Old Dominion played East Carolina twice.
I think they're in the league now.
Yeah, he had 12 points in that one. Also 8 rebounds again. 2 assists, 2 blocks this time.
I guess here's my question.
Okay.
Do we know who else is interested in the young man?
Yeah, he has a top 6. Hold on, let me look on Twitter.
While you're looking at that, would you categorize this guy as a starter level player, a main contributor, a role guy off the bench? I'm just trying to set
Here
my
we go.
expectations.
He's down to LSU, Cincinnati, Western Kentucky, Georgia Tech, and Pitt.
Okay.
So he's not being chased. He's not being chased by mid majors. He's a guy with major interest.
And Rick Stansberry's checkbook.
And Rick Stansberry's checkbook. Is he still there? I thought he got fired.
Really, at Western? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I just assumed he was.
I guess. Well, maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe that was a bad thought in my head. He's still there. I thought he got fired for some reason.
His spouse's name is Meow.
Meow.
Yeah.
Meow. do they name her? Is her name Meow? Is her name Meow?
MEO, however you say that.
Meow.
So, like, do you think this would be should I be super excited if he commits? Should I be like, okay, that's cool. Hopefully, like, they get a couple better guys.
I think it's an improvement. The roster would be better with him, but I don't know that he's like the trajectory of the season
isn't
I don't know how
greatly affected.
Right.
Like, we're not like, oh shit, yeah, we're going to the tournament now.
Right.
Okay. Just expectations are everything.
I'm being honest with you. I think
that's all I want. Like,
now look, if they would have had a big man that could score 11 points a game
at all,
think how different this season looks if they had one big man that could score 11 points a game. Did the big man? No, hold on.
What happened?
I'm checking something. I want to do some math.
Did you just commit?
No. I'm doing math on something. So sometimes that takes a little time, right?
Well, math for me takes more than a little time.
Okay. We're not considering Jeremiah Davenport a big man, right?
No, not at all.
4.2, that's 8.4. 8.4 plus 3.1, 8, 9, 10, 11.1. 12, 13.5. The big men on the entire roster last year, Dave, averaged 13.5 points a game. All of them combined.
That's not great.
So if this dude can come in and he averaged 11.1 or 11.3 in Conference USA, which is a step below the American, but not a significant step below the American, right?
No.
Let's say he averages 9.5. That's like 3 of the big men from last year.
Right.
So, I mean, is it the perfect addition? Probably not. Does it maybe alleviate some of the major problems that this team had last year? Potentially. What are you making weird faces for over there?
NFL.com top 100 list from Gil Brandt had some interesting placements of players. One man's opinion, but yeah, interesting. But sorry, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. Is like, if expectations are set properly, then you can, and we're talking about this. He might not come to UC, but if he comes on a visit, he obviously has some higher level of interest, and they are have the same for him. But we'll see. I mean, I'm sure there's more names and on varying levels, and like we talked about. I don't know, was it last week when we talked about, if something, if we're still in the same spot May 1st, then light the town on fire.
Yeah.
April 6th, I'm not sure I'm getting too worked up about anything.
Right. All right. That's gonna wrap it up. I don't have any more in me.
Is Brandon Murray going to go to Tennessee?
It'd be a hell of a gift for Tennessee.
Hey, the Reverend, he knows how to do it, man.
Considering the bags I've heard about today, there's a kid from the A-Sun. The A-Sun, Dave. I heard today, starting offer $500,000. Like, won't talk to you.
Won't take a call.
Take a call unless there's a $500,000 on the table, Dave. People think I'm crazy when I'm talking about how wild this shit is. I'm talking to friends from around the country, just like checking in, right? Like, we waited like 9 hours today for Kelly to talk to a doctor. So I had a lot of time in between, like, what's going on. Made a lot of calls. $500,000.
Hey.
$500,000 before they would pick up the call.
Good for you, man.
More power to...
I'd like to be in a position to just ask for some absurd amount of money and someone be like, yeah, we'll give it to you.
Look, I would love for you to have to pay $500,000 for me to answer your call.
So if you
and you'd be willing to do it, you'd be like, yeah, that's reasonable.
If you give him the $500,000 and he takes the call.
No, I mean, but like, that's the starting.
Right.
If I'm going to pick your school, you got to come with at least $500,000.
So what you're saying is that guy is not going to come to UC.
Well, the funny thing is, he's not even somebody I don't think UC is like contacted or whatever. It was just in a conversation I was having with another coach.
Mean, like, yeah, we're not.
They were like, listen to this shit. This kid wants $500,000 to answer the phone.
And this kid will be stuck in the transfer portal in 4 months.
Right. Right.
So, without giving names or anything, is there anyone else that they seem to be?
I haven't heard of any other visits set up. I haven't heard of any other visits set up yet. So,
Grant asked basically if he wanted to commit on his visit, would they take him? I would guess that's a yes, or they wouldn't have him come in.
Right. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
I thought he was asking if the kid who wants $500,000 wanted to commit, if the staff would allow.
Well, they'd have to find some money.
It's nuts, man. It's wild. Like,
I can't even imagine, like, when we see those tweets of, like, OVC player of the year that averaged 20 points or whatever has been contacted by so many teams it fills up the entire tweet. Like what's going on behind the scenes there?
It's bananas. Like, the whole thing is BANANANS. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
business
I'm all for
booming.
I'm all for people getting market value. I just think there might be a situation where there's some folks getting a little over market value right now.
There needs to be a market correction, apparently.
Yeah. Like, and again, market value is what somebody will pay you, right?
Exactly.
Like, if somebody's going to pay you $500,000, then you're worth $500,000. It just blows my mind.
Well, that's the thing. A $500,000 to one, person / team is not the same $500,000 to another. So,
Right. Places like Tennessee, they can drop $8 million.
Gotta get that quarterback.
Got to get that number one player in the transfer portal.
I mean, if you can drop $8 million on a QB, you can come up with a couple more mil for some wide receivers and offensive linemen.
Right. Matt, who am I excited to see this weekend in Indy? I have no idea. Come on, man. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll get to that by Friday. If not, I'll just show up and see how the weekend goes. I don't know. Right now, I don't know really anything. So I guess that wraps it up. I don't have anything else. That closes it off with yet another Urban Artifact timestamp. Did you know that Urban Artifacts building, the historic St. Patrick Church, is 150 years old? They operate their tap room in the basement, and upstairs they offer the reliquary and event space. Come on. Reliquary. Is anybody religious here? Reliquary?
Requiem for a Dream.
Jaquimini.
It's not requiem. I know how requiem is spelled.
Jamiroquai.
Reliquary. Reliquary. It's a play on liquid, I guess. I don't know. Aaron, you should know this. You want to have a party there. It's an event space. Swing by Urban Artifacts, Northside Tap Room.
Maybe we could have will they let us have a Bearcat Journal meet and greet there?
I'm sure they would.
Maybe we should just do something like that in the summertime coming up here.
Yeah. If I wasn't going to be out of town, we could have done it Saturday instead of the spring game.
I'd be down for a little meet and greet with our loyal Bearcat Journal members.
I think we could come up with an event. Maybe, if there's room, I think with StreamYard, maybe we could organize like a live podcast or something of that nature.
We did the Q&A back in the day at
with
TAF.
Pike. Yeah, with Pike. That was good stuff. Scotty, we want to do an event at the Reliquary. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not.
Reliquary.
Reliquary.
I just made that up. I don't know.
I'm sorry if I got mad.
Don't you dare call me that, Aaron.
I'm having a bad day, so I'm not in a good mood. Yeah. So let's get out of here. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to our title sponsor, the Holy Grail. He's David Simone. I'm Chad Brendel. Next week, Dave might not. We got to figure out next week. Dave's you're out Thursday. I'm out Wednesday. That makes things kind of awkward for next week.
Yeah. We
were supposed to have Zach Caleros.
Yeah. Maybe we just take a week off, see if Zach can.
No, we're supposed to have Zach, so it might be me and Aaron with Zach on Thursday.
Oh, that's fine. I could do it Thursday. I'll have been just, out of surgery earlier in the day. So who knows what type of drugs I'll be on and what I'll say.
I'm in. Let's go. Let's go. That sounds awesome. Dave, like the kid coming from the dentist.
Yeah.
Real life.
Well, it'll be well after that. I might see at this point, 8:00 Thursday night, I might be, out cold.
Yeah. We'll prop you up. Weekend at Bernie style.
Yeah.
Put the earphones in your ear and have Aaron ask questions as you.
Oh, okay.
How's that sound?
Weird, but whatever.
All right. No, you're not down for that?
Probably not.
I don't really want to make Dave a puppet. No.
I've had this surgery once before. I'm probably not going to be in the mood to do anything Thursday.
I don't know. Dave after anesthesia sounds like a pretty good segment.
It doesn't really do much for me. I'm pretty much back to normal, like within an hour or so. So, but yeah, I'll be tired. I know that much.
All right.
All right. We'll see you sometime next week. I don't know when.
Sometime. Yeah.
At some point in time next week, we'll be here on this channel. Thanks to Aaron Smith, as always, producer extraordinaire. He's Dave Simone. I'm Chad Brendel. We'll see you next time. It's the Holy Grail BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com.